And there we go. Good, good, good. Okay, folks, so if you've been on one of my webinars before, you probably already know the drill. I just want to do a quick sound check. If you guys could just let me know in that chat box, let me know if that audio is coming through loud and clear or if there's any quality problems, if it's kind of scratchy poppy, if it's not loud enough, or if it's too loud, just let me know. Okay, so getting some goods here. All right, good, loud and clear. Okay, good, good. All right, excellent, excellent, excellent. So as you guys know, one of the big things with me in my webinars is audience participation. um, I expect feedback, guys. So the more feedback I get from you folks, the better the session's going to be. It's that simple. So even though I have slides here, as you know, again, if you've been on my sessions before, I don't have notes. I don't sit here and practice these in advance. Instead, I have slides that cover core concepts, but we kind of fly by the seat of our pants because your feedback dictates what direction we're going to go in, okay? So the more you guys chat with me, the more customized this session is going to be for you and your challenges, okay? So that's really what this is all about. Also, as you see on your screen here, this link, for those of you that are not already a member of my Serious Mortgage Marketing group on Facebook, it's a free group to join for loan officers to ask questions and chat with each other about marketing-related topics. So just go ahead and pop that link in or just save it or take a screenshot, whatever you like, and head on over there and just put your request in. Now, the reason you put the request in, guys, is I filter out spammers. These groups, when they're open groups, you get just so many people trying to sell you their crap. Drives me nuts. So that's why it's a closed group and you have to put in your request. So make sure you also put in that you're a loan officer because I don't let non-loan officers or real estate agents join the group. It's only for mortgage and real estate agents. Okay? All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started here. So we're going to be talking about the solution to lead generation during the slow season. Why don't you guys let me know in the chat box right now, what months or what time periods do you consider to be the slow season for you? What's the slowest period of the year for you when it comes to originations, lead capture, capturing leads, all that fun stuff? What do you consider to be the slow season? All right, so I'm getting November to January. Okay, Mike's a summer for him. Okay, November to January from Brandy and okay, Rob. Okay, there's another November to January from Joe. Okay, I'm getting a bunch of November to January. So we already know why that is, right? It's no big shocker that we got the holiday seasons where people's focus tends to be on other things, right? They're distracted, and especially if you're in the Midwest. If you're in the Midwest, guys, I mean, that's when things get cold and icy. I mean, who wants to go look at houses when you could end up flying off the road when the ground is frozen? So here in the Midwest, it's like you're skating to your appointments. So yeah, a lot of people will just kind of hold off. Other times you get folks that are really, they're looking at things, but you know, they're just kind of dipping their toe in the water. So for their considerations as far as, yeah, this is what I'm going to do when springtime rolls around. So yeah, the official statistics, though, are that during the month of December, online searches for real estate actually dipped 60%. 60%. So you're only getting about 40% of the volume. November to January, that's normally when most loan officers are starting to take off at least a couple of weeks. They'll save up their vacation time and they'll take off for vacation during sometime in that time period to go see their family or go do something fun, relax, recharge for the new year. You get, again, a lot of people that are just looking in preparation for spring. But bottom line is that when we view the slow season the way that a lot of us do now, oftentimes we're effectively limiting our origination time. So instead of having 12 months out of the year to reach our goals, it's almost like we only have 9 months to try to cram it into, and you have like this pressure cooker building up to the season of rush, rush, rush. I got to hurry up and do as much business as I can while I still can. Because once November rolls around, if it's, well, my originations are going to dip by 60% or more. Now, there's still some folks that say, hey, you know what, I don't really have a slow season, and they still do really good during those time periods. But for the overwhelming majority of loan officers, they see that big dip. And that's what we're going to talk about here today is how can we avoid that? So, so really, these are the questions of what we often ask ourselves, or actually what I see a lot of loan officers asking me is, number one, how can I better manage my leads and improve my audiences? Okay, and when I say audiences, I mean your targets, your individuals that you're originating from, that group of people. How can I improve my predictability of my originations? So not just this up, down, up, down, up, down crap, but hey, how can I make this reliable? Something that I can tap into and actually predict how much I'm going to close and indeed be in control of how much I'm going to close on a month-to-month basis, no matter what time of year it is. And then how can I grow my follow-up and successful touch rate? So in other words, when I'm capturing leads, how frustrating is it when I'm basically playing this hunt and search game with these individuals where I just can't seem to reach them. And if I can't reach them, then how on earth am I going to originate? How am I going to turn these leads into applications, right? So anything that I missed there, guys, put it in the chat box and we'll add it. I'm more than happy to. So now I have a question for you. How's your 2017 panning out so far? So, and that's a real question, guys. Go ahead and put that in the chat box. How close are you to reaching your goals? If you compare where you're at now, because we're very, very, very close to the final quarter, right? We're just about to turn that corner into the final quarter of the year. And that final quarter of the year for most loan officers is also the most difficult time for them to originate. So if you're not already on the razor's edge of and on the cusp of reaching your goals, how likely do you think you are to still meet your goals that you set way back in January for 2017? Okay, so that's a question that we really have to pull back that mask and really ask ourselves that. So I'm already getting some answers here, so I'm not that close. I feel a big slowdown happening, not a lot of applications. Okay, I'm at 75% for the year. I need to beef up my originations. So Rob's already reached his annual goals. So congratulations to Rob. Okay, so all right, so I'm doing very good. So it looks like about 90% no, not going to reach my goals, and we've got about 10% that are either close or have already hit their goals. So first of all, big pat on the back if you already have. And if you have not, and if you feel like you're not close yet, we're going to address that here today. Okay, but regardless, even for those who have reached their goals or close to it, isn't it nice to find ways to beef up what you're already doing and make even perhaps this final quarter your best of the year so far? Because for all the negatives of what we deem the slow season, I want to point out a couple of things. Number one, your competition really, really evaporates during those final 3 months because of the fact that a lot of loan officers are taking their vacations, right? So your competition really starts to evaporate for those 3 months. But number two, here's something that even I didn't know up until I started doing some research on statistics for those 3 months, was that the Realtor.com, Trulia, Zillow, and even the National Association of Realtors, they actually track on a day-to-day basis how much activity there is in the real estate market as far as people searching for homes online. Anybody care to take a wild guess as to the, from that list of the top 10 days of the year where more people search for homes than any other time of year? Anybody care to take a guess as to the top 2 days of the year where more people are searching for homes online than any other days of the year? Anybody care to take a guess on that? Let's see what you guys are guessing. Okay, Christine says Thanksgiving. Okay, so we got 1 vote for Thanksgiving. Philip says Thanksgiving and Christmas. Michael says Christmas and New Year's. Craig says Labor Day. Okay, we're getting a bunch of guesses here. You know what? Somebody already got it. Michael, you got it. It's Christmas and New Year's. 2 top biggest search days for real estate out of the entire year. And somebody got it really close to Christmas and Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is number 4. So you got number 1, number 2, and number 4 in the top 10 list of the biggest days of the year where more people are searching for homes than any other point, and they fall within the quote-unquote slow season. So knowing this, and then knowing the fact that your competition is just really, really going downhill because they're either distracted or they're only originating passively because they're kind of recharging. A lot of people take that time to kind of do some contemplating on the new year and what they're going to do in January, all this good stuff. And that's all fine and good. Nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, for those of you that are still trying to get to your goals, or maybe you've already reached your goals and you just want to push, make another one big last push or last hurrah before the new year hits, it's kind of nice to have less competition and still have the 3 biggest house shopping days of the year ahead of you. So a lot to look forward there, guys. So what I would do in that situation, if I'm really trying to give myself a big push, here's what I would do. And the number one thing on that list, before I did anything, before I did any planning or whatnot, and started strategizing with my marketing, I would do a marketing audit on my business. Now, a marketing audit is really just sitting back and you have a real honest look at where you're at with your business and what you're accomplishing and looking at actual numbers and not just relying on guesstimates, because guesstimates don't cut it in this business. When it comes to your marketing, when it comes to your income, don't you think your income, your paycheck deserves more than just a guesstimate? Because this is how we build our foundation. Is number one, we need to know how many leads am I generating on average. I need to know both my highs and my lows, right? So I need to know what is my average, because how can I improve and how can I know what to address if I don't know what I'm on average generating currently? And again, guessing, what I found working with and one-on-one coaching and then even training and being contracted by large companies to boost their bottom line, what I found is most loan officers aren't good at guesstimating. You would think they would be because we're in a business of numbers, but when it comes to guesstimating on their own performance, usually they're off by at least 50 to 60%, in many cases even up to 75% or more. They overestimate their performance. So how many leads are you actually generating on average? Because overestimating it isn't doing yourself any favors. We got to be honest. How big is my audience? In other words, when I say audience, guys, I mean that when it's time for you to market and capture leads, who's listening? Who can you tap into before you need to start looking at outside sources? That means your retargeting cookies, your custom audiences. That means your email database. So that's either your CRM or your database or your autoresponder. That means also your social media assets. So this could be LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, your followers, your fan pages. All of those are your assets. If you have a YouTube channel, how many people are subscribed to the channel? Those are all your assets. These are all the people that liked what you had to say well enough to follow you, either subscribe or click a button to be made aware of when you have something to say, or taking an action. In the case of retargeting, they took some sort of action that identified them as being in the market and ending up on one of your landing pages, one of your assets. So this is your audience, guys. These people, this is where the money is at before we even have to spend a dime, right? What's my conversion rate? Actual numbers. Again, guesstimates tend to be wrong. And when you start doing your marketing and base your foundation on wrong information, everything else you do is going to be skewed. A lot of loan officers question why nothing ever seems to work for them. Well, here's the answer for you. Because they're running their business as if it's a hobby because they're guesstimating everything instead of taking it serious enough to sit down and figure out what really is my conversion rate. Because if I know that I need to talk to X amount of people, and I know for a fact that if I talk to X amount of people, I'm going to get X amount of applications, then scaling my business becomes a whole lot easier rather than I say, well, it's around 4 or 5 people, so it's around 6 or 7. But then I'm wrong, and now everything else that I've based on that is wrong as well. It's building on quicksand is what it is. My consistency, my email deliverability. How many of you guys watched my YouTube video? It was only a couple of minutes long, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, on finding out if you're on an email blacklist. A lot of you guys watch that? Okay, so I'm already getting some yeses on that. If you didn't watch that, it's only a couple of minutes, but you really got to watch it, guys, because I would guesstimate. In this case, it's okay to guesstimate because I'm not building a business off of it. I'm just saying for your edification, probably about 70 to 75% of you guys are on email blacklist, which means when you send out an email to follow up with your leads, in some cases, 50 to 60% of your emails aren't even delivered. So please, please, please watch that. And it's free to do and only takes about a minute. And if you find that you are on a blacklist, you need to get off those blacklists so you can get 100% deliverability, because it's hard to build a business when email is such a big part of your business if you're on an email blacklist. Heck, even when I was doing the video, I found that I had been put on a blacklist just within the past 2 weeks, and I had to get myself off of it. Okay, so I'll share that link later on for you guys. It's on my YouTube channel, though. If you just go to YouTube and just put Chad Weber Loan Officer Marketing, you'll end up on my channel, and there's over 125 videos you can watch, and you'll see the one that's titled Email and Follow-Up. Okay, and then how's my diversification? So diversification, guys, putting all your eggs in one basket versus how many sources of leads do you have to tap into on a regular basis. So those are things that you need to do to complete your marketing audit to know, okay, here's what I have to work with. Now I'm going to set up a plan so that I'm not going to have a slow season here during the quote-unquote slow season, okay? So you got to have a plan, guys, because failing to plan is what? Everybody's heard the cliche, failing to plan is planning to fail, right? So let's do something about it right now. So here's a sample plan that's going to get you through those tough months, guys. So here's what I would do in your situation. So I'm going to start off with a bird's eye view, then I'm going to get a little more specific here with some actual things that you can take a look at. Yeah, that's going to help you. So number one, the first thing that I would do, guys, is I need to find and segment home buyers. Okay, because who do we market to? If we're focusing primarily in a purchase market here, then the first thing I got to do is I got to build an audience. But I can't build an audience until I find those people. I need to find out who they are, get them to raise their hands, and identify them. So that's what we mean by finding and segmenting home buyers. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in detail later. But let's just bear with me here. So we're going to identify who those serious buyers and sellers are, because oftentimes, even if they're just selling, it's because, well, they're moving. If they're moving, chances are they're buying another home. Not always, but very often it's because they're buying. So whether I'm identifying buyers or sellers, I need to know who they are. Now, once I've identified those individuals, even before we start talking about capturing leads, in 2017 and going into 2018, it's all about an audience first, leads second. Too many of us are focused on leads, when the reality is you can build your business. It seems counterintuitive, but this is the reality in this type of a market, guys, is tracking cookies are they're like pure gold to you because you have an audience that you can tap into. If you focus on that first and then turn that audience into the database that you're going to mine for capturing leads, you're going to find that you're going to have a much easier time to capture leads from that audience than you do from just cold traffic. So we drop tracking cookies once we've identified and segmented who the home buyers are, right? So I want an audience in the minimum, bare minimum, needs to be in the hundreds. If you can get into the thousands, all the better. You're going to have an awesome, awesome slow season. And that slow season, you're going to start calling it your busy season, okay? But if you can at least get it into the hundreds of individuals, which is pretty darn simple to do, it's not that hard, that's going to get you through that 3-month drought, if you will, okay? So that's November to January, by the way. So I agree with those of you saying November to January. So once we've identified and dropped our tracking cookies and created these audiences, I'm going to show you guys the process of creating audiences in Facebook, but there's a lot more than just Facebook tracking cookies, by the way. It should be in the hundreds minimum. I like to go somewhere around 500 to 600. And from that, we're going to create micro audiences so that we're not going to put all our eggs in one basket. And when I say micro audiences, I mean we're not just going to focus on just say, okay, we got buyers and sellers here, and that's it. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create one audience and call it my buyers. I'm going to create another audience and call it my sellers. I'm going to create another audience and say these are my refi prospects. So nothing wrong with tackling a little bit of refi, especially during the holiday season when people are starting to think more about debt because it's staring them in the face because they just got through dropping thousands of dollars in credit card debt for Christmas. Really nice time period to target individuals looking for debt consolidation. So if you want some quick lay down deals, create an audience out of that. High debt individuals who wish to consolidate even before Christmas because they know, hey, you know what, I don't have a lot of room left on my credit cards and, you know, my credit score is dropping, blah, blah, blah. You know, well, maybe it's time to consolidate. I might do another one for VA or FHA or Govy loans, but I'm going to create micro audiences out of my main audiences. Okay, that means the reason I do this is because I'm segmenting the groups so I can hyper target and focus my messages and my follow-up when I'm ready to turn these audiences into actual leads. Well, I need to know what information to send to whom, right? So let's just do kind of an example of this. What would I do? Well, here's some sample targets as I compartmentalize. So I'm going to identify my audience based off of people who have read either articles, blog posts, or watched my videos on home buying. I'm going to have another segmented compartmentalized group of people who have read my articles, blog posts, or videos on home selling. Another for people who've done the same for VA loans. Another who've done the same for debt consolidation. Another who have done the same for who wants to get out of debt quicker as far as, you know, I want to pay out less interest over time and spend less money on interest over time. These are the people who might want to do a rate and term refi as opposed to a debt consol. Okay, so I track these individuals based off of their consumption of my content. It's really easy. It really is, guys, because oftentimes we overcomplicate by thinking we need to do all this stuff when the reality is, if you're good at communicating value to individuals and you understand the questions that they have, the better job you do of answering those questions, the more likely they are to click on your stuff. Based on what they choose to click on and not click on tells you what they're interested in. Based on their interest, I know what category to put them in. If they're reading about how to buy a home and low down payment home loans and blah, 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 then obviously they go into this top category here of home buyers. If they're looking up and reading articles on, you know, the top 10 mistakes to avoid that are going to slow down your home selling process and, you know, blah, 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 okay, obviously they go into category 2 and so forth, right? So it becomes a lot easier when we break it down to the simple, right? But we have to compartmentalize. We have to take the time to understand what people are looking for. All right? So already at this stage, just by doing your marketing audit to understand where your business is at and know your numbers, and then taking the time to know, here's who I'm targeting, and here's the type of content that they would consume. If they're interested in this topic versus that topic, it seems like a lot of work, but those who take the time to do it and get it set up are going to close so many more loans. They're not going to have a slowdown. You're getting organized. You're organizing the way you go about doing business. So instead of just spray and pray techniques and last minute rush, oh my God, the slow season's here and I'm not prepared, which every time somebody tells you, well, I'm not going to do that this year, and then they end up doing it, and then they tell themselves next year is not going to be the same, and then it ends up being the same. Next thing you know, 3, 4, 5 years have gone by and they still haven't taken the time to build that foundation. But when you finally do it, you now have exact groups to target. And we uncover them by just putting out the bait, which is content. It can be, I don't care what it is. It can be an article. It could be a blog post. It could be a YouTube video. It could be a good article that someone else wrote, and I'm just sending them a link and seeing who clicks on it. But the important thing is that when they take some sort of action, I drop my tracking cookie to know they took that action. If I'm dropping a tracking cookie from Facebook, that cookie lasts for 180 days, roughly 6 months. If I'm dropping a behavioral-based tracking cookie from a CRM database, that cookie lasts forever, unless they delete it off their computer, which over 78 to 79% of individuals never clean their cookies. So for over 3/4 of your audience, they're never going to delete that cookie. So you can track them and their actions and activities forever. And if they switch computers, if I'm sending out emails, guys, if I'm sending out emails to these guys, even if they switch computers or they do delete your cookie, keep in mind that all they have to do is click on something else again if they're still opening, if your content is interesting to them, and that cookie gets redropped. So I'm constantly refreshing that cookie, and the same applies with Facebook is, yes, that 6-month countdown starts when they first click on one of your pieces of content, but if they click on something else again down the road, that 6 months is refreshed, right? So that 6 months could become 7 months, 8 months, could become 12 months, 18 months, who knows? So let's take a look at the tracking pixels on Facebook here. Let's go live. So give me just a second here, guys. I'm going to exit the slides. Let's get just a better idea of what this looks like. So if you guys can just give me a moment to get open. Get open here. Where'd it go? Okay, here we go. Okay, my apologies. I had to way too many tabs open here, so I had to close out of some of them. All right, and what I'm going to do is I come up here to my ads manager. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want to do. Come on, Facebook, you can do it. And I click where it says All Tools. You see that? So when I click on All Tools, I have an option here for pixels, right? And now there's two things of interest here when I click on All Tools. Is number one, pixels. Number two, audiences. Those are the two things that appeal to me. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the pixels though. So let's go ahead and get that open. You might have to open it in because Facebook's acting goofy and it's not loading the pages when I click on them properly. So let me just open that in a new tab and see if that forces the issue. Okay, there we go. It sure did. All right, so now what am I looking at? Create a Facebook pixel, right? So I can set up a single Facebook pixel to unlock powerful tools in Facebook marketing or advertising, blah, blah, blah. So we got tracking, optimization, our audience targeting. All you got to do is click on the Create a Pixel button. So it's pretty straightforward and obvious process there that Facebook does an at least okay job of walking you through it. At any point through the process, if you start to get lost, they do have like learn more links and other things that can that you can put on there. But basically, what I would do is I would create my pixel. Just give it a name here. Click the next button. Now, Facebook's going to give me a couple of options here. So it says, okay, you created a Facebook pixel. That was easy, right? But it's what we do with the pixel that's really going to count. So I'm just going to do a copy and paste the code. So I click right here, and all I really got to do, guys, is copy this code that Facebook gives me, and I paste it on my website or landing page. Okay. Now, if that's not something that you know how to do, there are people that can do that for you, right? I mean, it's not that difficult. It only takes a moment. Or you could even watch a video on how to do it. Facebook even has a help page for individuals that have Facebook marketing accounts. So you can actually watch a Facebook video on how to insert the code if it makes you confused. A lot of this stuff down here, this is just extra stuff. I'm not going to get into it because it can be very confusing because we're talking about things like inline actions, and that's for really, really advanced level marketing. I don't suggest jumping into that right out of the gate. Okay, that's stuff that you can scale to later down the road, right? You got to walk before you can run. So just focus on the primary pixel code that I showed you, get it installed on your landing page or website, and you're done with that. Okay, it takes literally a minute. Hire somebody to do it. If looking at all of that scares you and makes your eyes roll in the back of your head, then just hire somebody. It's worth paying to just get it done because this is what's going to drive what happens next. What happens next is audiences. So when I click on audiences, which again was right up in my button up here in my All Tools, I want to create a custom audience. Now watch this, guys. This is really, really cool here. So I'm going to click on website traffic. I'm going to change this from 30 days to 180 days. So Facebook's asking, how long do you want this pixel to last? So I want it to last the maximum, which is 6 months. Okay. And for here, for the drop-down box, I click people who have visited specific web pages. And instead of URL contains, I'm going to put URL equals, because I want this cookie to fire only when they visit specific web pages. If I do URL contains, then that means basically anything on my website that contains my core URL is going to fire the pixel. I don't want that to happen. I only want pixels to be dropped when people go to my landing pages, because I run ads, I send them to landing pages, and that's when the pixel fires, because they clicked on my and went to my landing page. So I would copy and paste the web address to the page I want them to go to. Okay, so this is the page that's going to contain my pixel. And when I'm done with that, boom, I'm good to go. Now, I could refine it further and do a bunch of other stuff, but again, I don't want to confuse people. So I'm just going to go ahead and give it a name. So this would be my home buyers, and then I would click create an audience. Now, here's the thing, is I could go through this process and create as many of these audiences as I want. I could click to create another audience, and this time make it home sellers, and then create another audience and make it for refinance, and so forth and so forth and so forth. I can create as many different audiences as I want. But what I'm doing, guys, is I'm segmenting here. I'm telling Facebook, hey, when somebody clicks and goes to this specific landing page, drop them into this audience as a home buyer. But I'm going to have a completely separate landing page for home sellers and a separate group for them. Drop them in there if they go to that page, and so forth. Pretty straightforward concept, right? But very, very, very powerful. Okay, so let's go back to our slides. There we are. So we've taken a look at what that pixel creation process looks like. And as you can see, it's very quick. It's very quick. It doesn't need to take up a lot of your time. Now, like I said, there are other things such as pixels that come from CRMs and your databases and email autoresponders that can track their behavior forever. Those get a little more involved than just a Facebook pixel, but it's also extremely powerful because that's what tells you what they're doing on your website, what articles they're reading, and all that other stuff. But there's quite literally 120 different CRMs out there, so I don't have time to go through and show you guys, well, if you have this CRM, this is how you do it. If you have that CRM, that's how you do it. That's not the purpose of this call. We just need to understand the basics here of the concepts. But really, guys, what it all boils down to is it's all about our cheese or our bait or our mousetrap. Call it what you will. You know, we could use a fishing, lure if we want to, analogy. But it's really what we do is we put our cheese out there, our bait. In this case, an article, a video, a blog post, an infographic, something. More often than not, you'll get a mouse if he's there. In other words, somebody's going to like it, say, hey, this is good content. They're going to click on it. And that's what builds your audience, is those clicks. Now, if you put the bait out there and you don't get a mouse, then we know that there's a problem. And the problem, more often than not, is either A, you're advertising on the wrong medium. So we could be just completely on the wrong platform. Right? If I, for example, if I want to advertise reverse mortgages, I don't want to be running ads on Instagram and Tinder, right? It's the wrong platform, the wrong medium. Or maybe we have the wrong bait. Maybe we think we know what people want to know, but we really don't. Maybe we didn't do our marketing audit in advance. Or maybe we're just targeting the wrong group, the wrong geography. It really is that simple. Oftentimes what happens, and I see it happen all the time, is people will run a couple Facebook ads, and if they don't get results within the first couple of weeks, they just throw it all to the side and say, this doesn't work. Facebook obviously doesn't work for me or my marketplace or whatnot. So they're blaming the form of marketing instead of blaming their own efforts, saying, hey, you know what, maybe I just learned how it doesn't work. And this is really, guys, I've been doing PPC for a very, very, very long time. I've spent millions No exaggeration. I've spent millions of dollars in PPC ads, both for my own business as well as for other companies over that time period. And I can tell you the one thing that I wish more people would learn is that to stop being averse to failure. They try to avoid failure when the reality of the scenario is you're always going to, an integral part of moving forward is finding ways that things don't work. That's how inventions happen. That's how the biggest successes in the history of mankind have been made. It even applies to our day-to-day, our daily life, guys, it is a process of elimination. You cannot be right 100% of the time, no matter how great of a marketer you are. I've had some spectacular failures over the years myself, or false starts. I just view them as a part of the process of moving forward. Because if you are documenting things properly, if you're running your business like an actual business person and you document what you do instead of guesstimating everything, then sooner or later you're going to have eliminated everything that doesn't work. And what's left is what does. See, I can pick up a book about marketing that's 100 years old and build a business from it using the exact same concept. Sure, certain techniques change. The actual implementation of the techniques can change, but the concepts do not. The concepts are the same as they were 120 years ago, guys. That's why the books are still relevant today. Some of the best books recommended to marketers and advertisers are 50 to 60 plus years old before the internet even existed. And yet they're almost required reading if you truly want to grasp the fundamentals of marketing. And this is it. You're looking at it, guys. So my point being is that we can't be afraid to move forward and implement and put the ads out there, put our bait out there. And if for whatever reason, if a particular bait isn't working, we modify it. We make tiny changes because we usually have 90% of the formula correct. It's just that remaining 10% that's missing. That's what I've observed after spending millions in ads. So what can we use as our bait, as our cheese? Well, we can put articles, we can put blog posts, we can do surveys. And guys, don't underestimate the power of surveys. Holy crap. You want to talk about powerful bait? People love having opinions. And they love telling you their opinions. I run a lot of surveys because that's how I learn what people really think, what they really want, what they really need. Quizzes, people love quizzes. Videos is definitely a favorite of mine as well because there's perceived value there. A video has a much higher perception of value than just a regular text-based page. And people are more likely to watch than they are to read because we're lazy, okay? We just accept it. As a society in general, we tend to be lazy these days or spoiled, whatever word you want to use. But just as a whole, this is truth, okay? The statistics bear it out. Using homes, leveraging homes as bait. That works. How do you identify a home buyer? Well, run home buyer ads. Work with a realtor side by side. That's another favorite of mine. Infographics. Again, high perceived value because it takes information which would otherwise be boring and presents it in a very visually pleasing manner. People like graphics and images and pretty pictures. So infographics, especially interactive GIF or animated based infographics are really hot right now. Holy crap, guys. They tend to go viral. You get a lot of free traffic because there's a lot of sharing because people look at it and go, wow, that's cool. Okay? So that's another favorite of mine. All of these things can be used as bait. We put it out there. That's our cheese. And the mouse comes, boom, they click on it. And the moment they click on it and they're redirected to deliver that content, we now have dropped a tracking cookie. That simple. Okay? So what do I expect in the form of results on average for these types of campaigns? Well, if you've built an audience in the hundreds for each segment, guys, then really it's actually hard to fail. It really is. As long as you're following sound marketing practices, generally speaking, what's going to happen is when you build an audience, like again, when I say audience, I mean we drop tracking cookies. So When I drop those tracking cookies, generally at a bare minimum, I'm using very conservative numbers here, guys, between 10 to 15% of any established audience will take action during the holiday season. That's generally what I find. And again, that's conservative. In a lot of markets, I'm going to find that to be around 20, 25, even 30%. But think about it. If you think that sounds high, I want you to consider something. Remember, we're not cold marketing anymore. We're now marketing to the people who are interested enough to read articles or watch videos or download infographics or read a blog post on topics specifically about what it is you sell, about home loans, about refinancing, about consolidating debt, whatever. So even if we use the smallest, tiniest, most pessimistic number here, and that's 10%. Let's say that you put 300 people in your purchase audience and 300 in your refi audience. That's 600 people you've dropped tracking cookies on. So at 10%, using the most conservative of numbers, that's 60 people who will end up taking action and getting a loan over the holiday season. 60 people. 60 people in that group are going to use a loan officer services. Why not you? If you're the one that dropped that tracking cookie, why can't it be you? Right? How many of those people do you feel that you could convert? I mean, really, that's a real question, guys. How many people do you think? Go ahead and put that in the chat box. I want to know. How many of you folks track your conversions? And at this point, I'm saying go ahead and guesstimate because I'm just curious. I'm asking you for your best guess. How many of those people do you think you could convert? If you have individuals that you've identified and you've dropped the tracking cookie and they've already consumed some of your content. So these aren't strangers. These are people who know who you are now. And again, I'm using conservative numbers on tracking cookies. I can drop a heck of a lot more than 300 purchase tracking cookies and 300 refi cookies between now and the holidays kicking off. I can do 1,000 plus. So if we use 10% at that 1,000 plus, now I've got over 100 people. If I'm using this 10 to 15% range of individuals that are actually going to take action. Okay? So that's 60 people that are going to get a loan. If I can get 10% of those people, if I can get 20% of those people, if I can get 30%, 40, 50%, how many of them can I convert? So these are our expected results as far as lead generation and people actually taking action. How many of those people end up taking that action with you? Now, that's a question for you. How good is your follow-up? How good are your sales skills? Once that lead has been provided, has been captured, it's now up to you to convert that. So really, if we want better results, guys, the best thing in the world that we could start doing is actually just stop doing something. And that is that when it's time to brainstorm, when it's time to solve a marketing problem, I really want you to stop thinking about it from the perspective of, okay, well, how do I close more loans? Because that's not specific enough, guys. That's like trying to eat an elephant, in this case a whale, in just one lump sum, one big bite, which is never going to happen. It's too big. It's too insurmountable to just say, okay, how am I going to close more loans over the holiday seasons? You ask your brain that question, it goes, I don't know. Instead, think of it from this angle. How can I get more people who want to buy a home or sell a home or reduce their debt, whatever audience you're trying to go after for the holiday season or audiences? How do I get them to identify themselves? Or even better yet, what kind of information do they want? What questions do they have? What pain do they feel? What freaks them the hell out? Because if you find that, what's keeping them awake, what's frustrating them, what's bothering them, what they're getting bad information on, if you know the answer to that, coming up with your bait is a whole heck of a lot easier. See, I can answer that question a lot quicker than I can, how am I going to close more loans during the holiday season? Versus, okay, somebody that's drowning in debt right now, and it's almost a holiday season. They're just, 2 months away from Christmas, and they're drowning in debt. They still want Christmas. What's freaking them out right now? What would appeal to them? What sort of questions might they be asking themselves? Well, if I can answer that question with any semblance of intelligence, then, hey, hello, now I know what sort of content to create. So now it's only a question of, do I want to do that as a blog post? Do I want to do that as an article? Do I want to do that as a press release? Do I want to do that as a video? Do I want to make a beautiful graphic about it? Do I want to do it as a GIF image? Pretty cool, huh? It's all we've done is we've simply made a small switch in our thinking. Okay, so let me give you guys some examples of some of the things that I've built as lead bait for individuals. Now, I'm just going to describe some of the processes to you. So I've created a, okay, let's start off with a real estate portal. Okay, built out a entire website that essentially, for all intents and purposes, operates just like Realtor.com, Trulia, or Zillow. Built that for a company who basically wanted to be hyper-local, and they wanted to capture leads before the realtors. So what better way than to tap into MLS, pull that in, and allow individuals to house shop on a really nice looking portal, really easy to use. Map-based search, detail-based search, neighborhood walking scores, all the works. Everything that you see Realtor.com and Zillow and Trulia do, boom. So now just get inside that thinking for a little bit. Now, if you were doing something like that, what would be your bait? Well, the houses, right? So it's easy to get people to raise their hands and identify themselves as house shoppers when they're on your website actually shopping for homes. There's no guesswork there, right? And if I can get them to the site, I can track all of their activity and know how often are they shopping, where are they shopping, what cities are they shopping. I actually have all this data. So there's one example. Okay, let's talk about another example. Okay, for another company, okay, we decided to go after refis, so we actually built out a debt consolidation landing page. So the landing page, they actually go in and enter the amount of debt, and with some sliders, okay, boom, 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 and instantly spits back, okay, here's how much on the high end you could potentially save. Here's how much on the low end you could potentially save, based on the information you've provided thus far. So they get a visual point of reference as to monthly savings if they were to qualify. So again, let's get inside the head of what it is we're trying to do in that instance. Well, what I'm trying to do in that instance is I'm trying to get people to raise their hand and say, okay, well, obviously if somebody spent time there punching in numbers to find out what sort of savings they could have, that's obviously somebody that's interested. That's somebody that's probably suffering from high debt. And oh, by the way, if they click the submit button, I'm going to capture all that data, and I know how much debt they have based on what they've entered. Another one, a series of videos specifically answering the myths and misconceptions about VA loans. So a lot of veterans and a lot of active duty individuals are subjected to a lot of bad information about VA loans, a lot of misleading information out there. So we created a YouTube channel with the loan officer and his company that specialized. They wanted to be branded and as the go-to guys for VA in their area. So we created an entire channel around it. So, okay, instead of just asking them to view you as the expert, why not give them a reason to? The individuals who go and watch these videos, again, they're identifying themselves, because why would just some random person go and watch a video about VA home loans if that's not something I'm considering, right? It's so specific. So what I'm trying to do here, guys, is give you ideas to get your creativity going here. All right. So I want you thinking about some of the unique ways that you could be targeting individuals. How can you get people to identify themselves? Okay. All right. So what we want to do, guys, is let's just make this very, 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 very clear here. And give me just a second. My page is actually just timed out on me. I'm getting an error code for some reason from, why is it doing that? Okay, it's telling me that, okay, it's back. So yeah, GoToWebinar was giving me an error code there for a moment, but we're good now. Okay, so basically all we're doing is we're using their interests and their consumption, the fact that they're consuming the material that you are offering in whatever form you decide to offer it as the identifier. That's what we're using to trigger the dropping of a cookie. And even if you don't capture a lead, guys, all you need is that cookie to build your audience, because we can do lead generation and lead capture later by targeting that group, right? I can run Facebook ads just to those individuals. So the point being is you need to simplify your goals. That if we stop trying to eat elephants and whales and instead focus on, hey, this is what my goal is at this stage, then the task becomes much simpler. So we don't walk out of the gate and say, okay, today I'm going to capture a bunch of leads. Instead, it's, hey, I'm going to build an audience. That's your goal, because that audience is going to turn into a whole lot of leads for you if you take the time to build it. But most loan officers don't have enough confidence in their marketing processes. When they start spending money on ads and start spending and investing time in building their audience without capturing leads yet, they start to freak out. Oh man, I spent a lot of time on this and I don't have any leads yet. Well, that's because you're not at that stage yet. But if you build that audience and then mine that audience for leads, you're going to find over the holiday season that's going to turn into a gold mine for you. Now, sure, we can capture leads right out of the gate as well. But what I'm saying to you is that you also need to, if that's your goal, if you're just going to capture leads now as well, go ahead and capture those leads, but at the same time work on building an audience that you plan on mining during the holiday season. Be prepared for it. Build up your audience of people who are house hunting and good prospects for debt consolidation loans, and during the holiday season you're going to be a happy person, because it's definitely going to yield results for you. Okay. So does that make sense? Do you guys see the mindset shift here? Do you see how we're making some changes in the way that we view the marketplace? So I know a lot of guys have different goals. Why don't you guys let me know what sorts of goals do you have from a closing standpoint? What would be a nice figure for you to add on a monthly basis as far as extra closings in your originations? So I've built up some different categories here to talk about basically what you typically are going to need to reach those goals. So let's say on the low end of the spectrum, you get the loan officers who are already doing a pretty good amount of loans already, and they say, you know what, all I need is just 1 or 2 extra closings a month, just to kind of supplement what I'm doing. So I put them in the supplement and enhance category of originators. They just need to add an extra loan or two. But still, that extra loan or two, that's 12 to 24 extra closings by the time December rolls around. So you've still added a nice chunk of income. So typically I'm going to recommend to them that they prepare roughly 2 landing pages, 2 to 3 ads that they can rotate between, 2 to 3 calls to action, and just a relatively short follow-up cycle. You don't need to go overboard if all you're looking to do is an extra closing or 2 a month. You don't need to go overboard to do that. You can accomplish that with just this small amount of extra activity or build out. Next, you have the loan officers that are kind of mid-level. Now, this is going to be a significant jump over the current income level because they're looking to close an extra 3 to 5 loans per month. So that's between 36 and 60 extra closings for the year. That's a lot of closings. So that's a big jump. When you crunch the numbers, how much extra income is that 3 to 5 per month going to land you? So for those loan officers, I recommend between 3 to 4 landing pages You're going to need at least 5 ads to rotate. 5 ads is usually enough, and the reason you rotate them is you don't want them to go stale. If we just keep running the same ad, week in, week out, week in, week out, it's going to grow tiresome to the marketplace. You got to have a couple different ads that you can rotate between to give it a break, to get some fresh blood into the market. Okay, 3 to 5 calls to action, and a medium level of follow-up cycle. You know, you don't need something really out there, but at least a medium to moderate level of follow-up, and then establish real estate agent referrals from the lead capture process. That means you leverage the leads you capture from up here, from step 1, you leverage them to get more agents doing business with you by sharing them. When they see, wow, this person's pulling in a pretty hefty, a pretty respectable level of leads each month, and they're capturing them before they pick out their realtor, well, a lot of agents are going to want to work with you. You don't need much, just an extra agent or two should be plenty to get you to this level. But again, we're talking up to 60 extra closings for the year. What would 60 extra closings do? I mean, really, what would that do for you guys? Realistically speaking, how much extra income is between 36 and 60 extra closings for the year? I mean, that's a nice jump, right? So then we got the final category is what I like to call the top producer category. These are the guys wanting to add an extra 6 to 10 extra closings per month. Now that's 6 to 10 extra closings a month. I mean, we're talking 72 to 120 extra closings, guys. I mean, that's top producer status, right? I mean, that's really making a huge difference in your income. You're in a whole new ballpark at that stage. So those loan officers are going to need somewhere between 5 or more landing pages. So I say 5 plus because there's a big variable there, because loan officers that are in this category, they're looking to add this, are usually already pretty high level producers. So they're kind of all over the board as far as what assets they've already created. So that's why I say 5 plus. You may already have landing pages you could tap into, at which point you might not need as many, or you might need to add more because you need to tap into a couple different niches. 5 plus ads to rotate, and then 5 plus calls to action. A multi-pronged follow-up cycle that includes email, texting, voice, plus video. Okay, and then multiple real estate agent referral sources. And if that looks like a lot, guys, keep in mind you're looking at adding 72 to 120 extra closings. That's a lot of business. That's a huge increase in income. So we have to be realistic about, there's going to be some work, legwork that goes into getting that set up, right? But the problem is that most loan officers, they look at that list and it kind of turns them off, because they say, wow, that's overwhelming. If I don't even have one successful and predictable landing page or funnel set up, how on earth am I going to get to 5 or more, or 3 or more, or whatever, wherever you fall on that list, right? So that can be very intimidating. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to, I promised you guys some bonus content at the end of the call here. I am going to be getting to that very, very soon. Okay, but first, before I get to that, I just want to give you guys this link. For those of you that look at that list and look at what I've shared with you here today and say, I think I'm going to need some help to accomplish that, the best thing you can do is just go to my link and request one of the free marketing audits. Now, let me be very, very clear, guys, because what I do, you probably know what I do by now. I do one-on-one coaching, yes. I do group masterminds, yes. I do done-for-you services. I do a lot of different things and provide a lot of different things for loan officers and mortgage companies, okay? The free marketing audit is for individuals who are considering working with me. Now, let me just be crystal clear on this, because I do have a very big announcement to make here today. And for those who aren't serious and are just looking, hey, I just want to chat with you and just just try to pick your brain and see if I can talk you into, giving me some free information. Please, please, please don't waste my time. Okay, because that'll be a waste of my time and yours, because that is not the purpose of the free strategy sessions, right? It's got to be mutually beneficial. And there's been a lot of individuals over this past year that try to do that. Now, not a day goes by where I don't get emails from people just going, well, can I just pick your brain? And, oh, let me just take you out for a free lunch and, just pick. If you're going to distill the knowledge of somebody who's done millions in business and asking them to help you build your business by 6 figures and offer nothing in exchange for that information, or hey, let me just buy you a beer or buy you lunch. If that's all it means to you guys, then we would not work well together. That's why I've really cracked down on who I ask to work with and do the strategy sessions with, is I want to work with people who are serious about growing and growing rapidly. And there's a second part of the piece of the puzzle as to why I'm really cracking down on this, guys, and that's because this is going to be my final year in coaching loan officers. Okay, I'm getting out of the loan officer coaching business for individual loan officers. 31% of my business this year came from corporate clients. So bigger and bigger companies have been retaining my services. That's how well what I teach works, is guys with 6-figure monthly budgets basically want to use me exclusively to spend those budgets for them. And I plan on doubling for 2018. We're going to be doubling that. So 2018 is my final year of taking on any loan officers, period, for coaching. Now, that does not mean I'm not going to offer any services at all for loan officers. Because yes, I still have tools and services to make available. But as far as the one-on-one coaching, this will be my final year. So that means I'm going to be extremely picky about who I work with. And if I look at my records and I see, hey, this person's done 6 strategy sessions and they've never taken action. If you've gotten an email from me recently that said you're not a good fit, that's probably why. Is I want to work with individuals taking action, who are ready to take action. Okay? You work with me, I will help you get there. It's that simple. Okay? So, and these basically what I have to teach you once I stop offering that coaching, guys, these are not techniques that I'm going to be teaching to the public again. This is the final opportunity, because these are things that I'm going to be implementing myself on a national and even international basis. I also have expanded to, I now have clients in Australia, the UK, Canada, and 4 other countries on top of that. So it's growing, guys. So I would love to take on some clients who are serious about doubling, tripling, and quadrupling their business, but you got to be action takers and not somebody who says, well, I got to think about it for the next month or 2 and kick it around and talk to 20 people. Nope, I don't have time for that. Serious loan officers only, okay? So not trying to be a jerk, but very, very limited time. So, all right. So let's, this is the link. Let me show you what to do if you go to Mortgage Marketing Coaching. Let me show you how that works. Let me open up that page for you. Here's what you do when you go to Mortgage, and that's coaching, not Mortgage Marketing Coach. It's mortgagemarketingcoaching.com. Let's go there right now. I'm going to open up that link for you and show you what to do at the site. So this is all you got to do, guys. When you go to the page, you can either click right here on Fix Your Biz, or you can, if you want to, for whatever reason, if you want to scroll down here, click Free Marketing Audit. Either one will get you there. Just click on Fix Your Biz right here at the top, and that'll bring you to the questionnaire. Just click the Continue button. Boom. What is your biggest lead generation challenge? And just answer the questions, guys. That's all you got to do. And fill that out. Now, once you're done filling that out, it's going to actually ask you to schedule an appointment. You no longer have to just email me and ask, hey, here's what time I'd like to meet. Is this available? There's a calendar, an instant calendar on here. Let me see. Is that going to accept that? There we go. All right. So it's going to bring you to this page here and give you the available time slots. All right. So you can actually go through my calendar and pick what days you want to work or what days you want to meet, and boom, that's it, guys. And then just click to book the appointment. That's all you got to do. Okay, so you can schedule that appointment right here from the page. All right, so it'll give you the time slot. So obviously that one's not available, but yeah, we can just pick from any of these days here. Boom, there we go. So I clicked on Wednesday, for example, and these are the time slots that are available. Okay, perfect, perfect. That's it. So at that point, I will review your answers, get back in touch with you, and confirm. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, I promised you guys some bonus information as well. Oh, and yes, this during the strategy session, just so you know, yes, I'm going to have a lot of questions for you about your marketing because we need to do a little digging to figure out what do you really need? What's going to help you get to the next level? You know, are you looking more for done for you type services? Are you looking more for just one-on-one coaching? Are you a good fit for our mastermind? These are the types of solutions we'll discuss. Do you need a lead portal setup? Do you need a whole new web presence, SEO? These are the types of services that we can offer. Okay? Awesome. So I really look forward to hearing more about your business, what your challenges are, and digging deep to find the solution. All right. So yeah, that's filling in my slots. Usually I'm usually about 2 to 3 months out as far as a backlog for coaching though, just so you know. So yeah, we're going to fill those 2018 slots very, very quickly. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about boosting the quality of your leads. Because a common complaint for individuals that self-generate their own leads is, wow, my lead generation, I have to kiss a lot of frogs. I have to call 30, 40, 50 people before I even get one person to call me back or one person that's even a prospect and, whatever the case may be. Or even if you're buying leads, the same applies to that. But there's not much you can do about that because you're not the one originating those, right? But if you generate your own leads, whether they're coming from your website or you're running ads or anything along those lines, guys, there's one thing that you can do that will right out of the gate boost your effectiveness and the quality of those leads. And when I say boost, I mean double, triple, and quadruple the quality of your leads. And that is, on your final step, don't just capture a lead, but go for the appointment. Just like on my page, just like if you go to Mortgage Marketing Coaching and you request that strategy session, I want you guys to do the same darn thing when you're capturing your own leads. Ask them to schedule an appointment right there on the spot, send them to your calendar and have them pick a date and a time and give you a phone number. Now, let me tell you guys, a lot of people tell you not to do this. They tell you that, well, you got to make it easy for them, or if you're asking too much information. Heck, there was even a time where I used to say the same, but things are evolving. Things are evolving, and the people who take that final leap and actually schedule that time to talk with you, your closing rate and your lead to application rate is going to be through the roof. And yes, only about 10 to 20% of the people are going to jump through that last hoop. But now you know who to prioritize. You don't have to chase those people down. They scheduled an appointment with you. When you call them, they don't say, who the heck are you? No, they're expecting your call. They're the one that picked the time. They're the one that said, yes, I want to talk to you. They're the one that gave you, hey, this is my phone number. Please call me at this phone number. See, if we go back to my page, boom, I'm asking you for your phone number again. Hey, what's the best phone number I can reach you at? There's no doubt that what I expect is to be on the phone talking to you. And if you're wondering how well does it work, let me give you some examples right here. Let me show you something. I'm just going to open up some new screens here. See if I can get it open. Come on, open for me. For some reason, that's not opening. Why is it not opening? Give me just a moment here, guys. Software is not cooperating with me. Okay, there we go. All right, check this out. So I get a notification. Now, this is not mine. This is for a client that I work with. And look at his appointments for his loan officers. Check it out. Now, how would you like? Now, to be fair, this is for more than just one loan officer because no one loan officer would be able to handle all of this. But how would you like to open up your email and see that you have these loan strategy sessions with all these people who selected, yes, I want to meet with you. And by the way, it doesn't have to just be a phone appointment. You can tell the system to make an in-person appointment as well. Like if you're one of those loan officers that does traveling in person, we come to you. Oh, it works great for that as well. But again, okay, look, I got more. That was 48 appointments over a 5-day period. 48 appointments over a 5-day period. Now again, they're spending a larger budget than your average loan officer would, so I just want to be very clear on that. It's more than one loan officer. But again, it just goes to show you just how powerful this is, that yes, the people are scheduling the appointments, so it works. So if you just want to do a quick tweak to what you're doing now to at least boost your quality, that'll do it. I promise you. Now, I got lots of other ways to enhance your leads and boost quality as well, but, can't give away everything. But that's just one right out of the gate that's super powerful that I wanted to share with you guys, all right? So look at it from the standpoint of how I run my business as well. I get to cherry pick who I work with. So imagine that you're in a similar scenario. So you don't want to just work with any old client. Same with realtors. You don't want to work with just any old realtor partner. You don't want to work with just any old borrower. Your time is precious. You're a loan officer. You're busy. Your job is tough. If you make them jump through hoops, instead of always chasing your leads, you will soon be able to sit back and cherry pick and say, okay, I had 4 people actually schedule an appointment. I'm prioritizing them. The other guys, yes, I'm going to follow up with them. Yes, I'm going to put them into some automations as well, but I'm going to give priority to the guys that actually cared enough to pick a time and date to talk to me. Make sense? All right, guys. So, who here's scheduled a strategy session already? So that's mortgagemarketingcoaching.com again. And again, the idea is to discuss your marketing, discuss your challenges, and figure out if we're a good fit. Okay. So again, I am being picky about who I work with. I want to work with action takers because this is my final run of actual coaching services with loan officers. Again, I'll still have things like my lab and some of my software and all that fun stuff. Okay, so that'll still be available to you guys. But again, the appointments, guys, is not for the freebie seekers, the guys that jump on every single webinar but never actually sign up. That's not who the strategy sessions are for. It's for people that are looking at working with me. Okay. All right. So I also promised you guys to the blacklist email or the blacklist YouTube video. Let me pull that up here real quick. So I got to just head on over to. Let me get back to. So I'm opening up my YouTube channel right now. And here it is. So if you go to my YouTube channel, guys, this is what you're going to see. Okay, so this is my YouTube channel, and it's this one right here, how to get leads to respond to emails. And go ahead and it's only a couple of minutes, but what that walks you through as far as that software is concerned is just pretty kick butt, because once you run through it, let me go ahead and turn this down. Here we go. You got these types of links that you can visit just by watching the video and run your email through there. And I think you'll be shocked at how many of you folks are actually on those blacklists. And when you find yourself on a blacklist, let me tell you what those blacklists do, just so you know. When I say a blacklist, I do not mean that, hey, your email is going to end up in their spam folder. I mean, the email client services that subscribe to those blacklists completely block your email from being delivered at all. So I've had like loan officers tell me before, hey, you never sent me an email, or you told me you're going to respond to my email and you never did. And I'm telling them, yeah, I did. And then, well, I get all everybody else's emails. Why aren't I getting yours? Well, usually when little arguments like that pop up, guys, it's because there's a blacklist involved. So if you get clients telling you that they never got your email before and you're thinking, well, maybe they're just lying, or maybe it just ended up in their spam and they didn't check their spam, oftentimes it's because you're on a blacklist and the email was never delivered. And as much as half or even up to 60% or more of your emails could be getting blocked. And that's not a scare tactic. Just go ahead and take a look at those links and you'll see firsthand. Okay. How do you end up on a blacklist? All it takes is a teeny tiny number of people to just click spam on your email. They could just be in a bad mood and just going through and clicking everything in their inbox, spam, 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 anything they don't recognize. Even if they subscribed to your list. It even happens to me to this day. And the only way to get on my list, is to double subscribe to it. That is the only way you can end up on my list. And yet still people will click spam and say, I never registered for that. Well, funny, because that's the only way to get on it. And I track everything and I can see, well, here's the time and date you registered. Here's how you registered. But all it takes is a couple people to do that and you can end up on a blacklist. So you can get off a blacklist as well. It's not that hard. Those free websites even give you information on how to contact the blacklist and get removed from it, and you'll find your email delivery will go through, your responses to your leads will boost, everything goes up. It doesn't cost you a dime, guys, so it's crazy not to at least watch that video and implement. I care about you getting results, so just do it. All right, makes sense? Awesome. All right, guys. So hopefully you found that to be very helpful. Any questions that I missed? Let me take a look. Scrolling through, there's been a lot of questions here, but I think I did get to most of them already. If there's any questions on what we covered so far, now's the time to ask. Okay, so that was about the blacklist. Christine, Chad, do you have anything for loan officers just starting out? Yes, we do. So again, when I say that I want to work with certain loan officers, to me, it's not a matter of how much experience you have. Let me just be very clear on that. To me, what matters more than how long you've been in the business is your drive. So even if you're a new-ish loan officer, that is perfectly fine. Absolutely. We have programs to help new loan officers as well. You do not need to have years of experience. You can be just starting out. To me, it's the go-get-em attitude. It's not just, a lot of people say, well, I'm motivated. Well, all of us have motivations. It's not the motivation that matters. It's that combination of, yes, I'm motivated, but I'm also an action taker, that I move forward and I do what I say I'm going to do. That's the determining criteria as to who's successful with these programs and who is not. It's the guys that actually go out and implement, right? That's what I look for, is I look for people that are action takers, right? So yeah, absolutely, Christine. Nothing wrong with, if you're, just because you're new doesn't mean you can't go and fill out that and get a strategy session. I would be more than happy to chat with you if I feel like it's a good fit, and take a look at your scenario and do a little digging and see if we can help you reach that next goal, that next big goal, that next phase of your career. Okay. So my big focus on the folks that I'm going to be working with in the coming months is to get you prepared for the slow months so that you don't see a downward spiral in your originations. We want to keep your originations high even through the slow season, and get you off to a fast start for 2018 so that you can even hit your next level by then. So not just see high originations through the slow season, but also start hitting your new goals for 2018 as well. Because that's really what we like to do, is it's like going up that ladder, is take the next step and then the next step and then the next step, so that you're always hitting your very next goal, right? That's important. So do you guys see the concepts that that we covered today? Can you see how that makes a difference in how you capture your leads? Do you see how we change and switch our focus to where we're building our audience? See, the big goal as you go along, guys, the big goal is that we don't just try to capture leads, but that we actually want a database. We want a database that we can mine. And that database can mean, yes, it can mean your autoresponder and your CRM, but it can also mean your retargeting tracking cookies. That's a gold mine. And those tracking cookies can come from Facebook. It can come from a third-party software. I mean, there's lots of different places it can come from. It doesn't just have to be Facebook. And what I teach when it comes to lead generation, guys, is it's not just Facebook either. I talk about Facebook a lot just because that's what loan officers are familiar with. But when it comes to running ads and capturing leads, you have Yahoo ads, you have Bing ads, you have Google ads, you have YouTube ads. There's a lot of other sources that we can tap into outside of just Facebook. Now, Facebook is wonderful. I love using Facebook, and I will teach you Facebook. But we don't have to be limited to just Facebook either. So I want to be clear on that too, that I teach more than just Facebook, PPC in general. Yeah, Mike, we generally, we're up and running. If you're chosen for a strategy session, guys, then, you know, once you pick that time frame, you'll generally hear from me within 24 hours to confirm it. All right. So yeah, you'll hear from me within 24 hours, whether you were selected or not. And then if you move forward with a marketing program with us, then that's something that it just really depends as far as how quick you get up and running. Depends on which program we're going to do. So if it's done for you, that's obviously going to be different than, say, a coaching program or a mastermind program or something along those lines. Okay. All right. Good deal. Good deal. So good questions, guys. Good questions. All right. Okay. So what does... Okay, is the done for you? Yes. So I see the question on the done for you. Yes, done for you is available whether you're an independent loan officer or a company. Yes, I do still offer done for you for individual loan officers as well as mortgage companies. Okay. So yeah, that's definitely an option if you're busy. And yeah, we started offering the done for you just because there's a lot of loan officers that say, hey, you know what? I'm already a pretty high level producer. I just don't have time to add new stuff to my plate. And if that's you, then yes, we can definitely look at done for you type services. So that way you're not really directly involved in that. You just work the leads. Okay, so Joseph, so compliance, you work for a direct lender. Yes, what we teach, whether it's coaching or whether we do done for you, compliance is definitely a big part of what we look at up front. We generally stay away from things that are going to land you in hot water. And when I say generally, I'm saying that tongue in cheek. Yeah, we completely stay away from something that's going to land you in hot water. I do work with a lot of banks and direct lenders and big institutions, and oftentimes they actually with those guys, not often, but all the time, they want to run everything through their compliance department. So when I'm teaching you something, guys, I'm teaching you strategies that have already been approved by a lot of these big lenders and have looked at it from every which way. So if you're in a scenario, because what you're describing here, Joseph, sounds pretty familiar. So my compliance department does not allow us to set up a separate landing page. We can actually do lead generation even without landing pages, just so you know. So I do run into that a lot, where loan officers will come to me and say, hey, I work for a bank and they don't want us to have this, they don't want us to have that. So yeah, that's definitely not a new scenario. You do get these companies out there that are a little bit on the paranoid side because they're just afraid of, ending up on the wrong side of the law, or, giving their loan officers too much freedom or free reign with their marketing. So we do have ways around that. And one of those is, yes, we can actually capture leads without even needing a landing page. Or if it's a done for you, then there are no landing pages that are in your name. We run everything under our name. We are the lead generator in this instance. So we just funnel everything, and we originate it stealthy, in that we're the ones capturing those leads, but those leads are funneled over to you. So there's a landing page involved, but that landing page has nothing to do with your company. It's all branded with my company, and I just funnel the leads over to you and then just recommend you as the go-to loan officer. So that's another way around that, and they're happy with that. If they allow you to buy leads, then they would allow you to do something like this, because they have no exposure. So, okay. So that makes sense. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so great questions, guys. Anything else I could answer for you? Let me scroll through here again, make sure I got to them. No such thing as a bad question. Happy to answer. Okay, yeah, this applies to, yes, even, so I see some of you guys asking about websites. You don't have to have a website. You don't have to have a website. Do I recommend a website? Yes. I prefer you to have a website, just because I prefer all loan officers to have a website, if it's allowed by your company, of course. But you do not have to have one. Probably somewhere around 25% to 30% of loan officers I work with don't have websites, or they don't have one initially, but we'll help them get something set up through our programs. So yeah, don't let that be a deterrent. But naturally, I do prefer, just because we live in a day and age where people do, want to check you out. They want to make sure, hey, is this guy legit? So that's natural. So I prefer you to have a website. But if you don't, there are lots of ways to have mini websites set up, even using tools like just Google, for example, or you can have a Facebook business page. I mean, I work with a lot of institutions that also that's all they have, is they use their Facebook business page as their website. Is it ideal? No. Does it work for them? Yes. Are they still capturing leads? Yes. So if you're at that stage where you're just, hey, I'm too busy to do multiple things at once, so I have to pick one or the other, either begin my lead generation first or just set up a website first. Well, if you choose the lead generation first, then we can just set up something that'll serve kind of as a proxy, and then down the road you can worry about your website. Okay, so that's something else we can do. So, okay, as far as Facebook business pages, so yeah, Karen, as far as Facebook business pages, yeah, there's lots of ways to get extra likes, and really one of them is just running ads. I mean, within Facebook, you can even run a like-centric campaign. But I'll tell you what, one of the best things that you can do is viral content. We talked a little bit about infographics and how people like content that looks good, that's visual based. If you run visual based content that gets shared, you'll get a lot of people liking, because and it's the same thing with sharing information about your local community. Excuse me. Sharing information about your local community that people identify with. So to give you an example, if I'm in St. Louis, okay, new restaurants and new festivals and things coming around here in St. Louis, hot new homes for sale, homes lists, foreclosures lists, and things like that. Those are things that people like to see. And just because those things don't directly immediately result in sales, what they do get is they get you more followers, they get you more shares, and people will start to identify themselves as being in the market, so they will start to turn into things that lead to sales. So that's why I like that type of content. It gets you more followers and likes, gets more people sharing, gets more viral activity. So, the more that happens, the bigger deal your website is, right? people start to find it more interesting. Because let's just face it, mortgages are a very dry topic. Yeah, just like I don't go to my dentist page and like, even if I've liked my dentist page just because I thought he was a nice person, how often do you go and check up and see what they're sharing in the world of dental, dental care? We don't. And just like we're under no delusions that people don't jump on board your Facebook page and see, ooh, I wonder how things are going with mortgages these days. After, if they're not in the market for it, they don't care about it. It's that simple. So in order to make them care, is we have to share content that is relevant. And that relevant content to their hometown is what will get you more followers. And the reason why we care about that and why we care about more likes and more followers is because we can leverage that just through the law of averages. Statistically speaking, we know that roughly 3% of the population is in need of your services right now. So if I have 100 followers, that's only 3 potential individuals out of that entire list of people following me that even will need my services right now. And what are the chances they're even going to see my page? But if I have 1,000 followers, if I have 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, the law of averages start kicking in. 10,000. Now what's 3% of 10,000, right? How many people are in need of my services right here, right now? And what are the chances that one of them will see one of my posts and click on it and take action? Make sense? All right, good deal, good deal. So I think that I've gotten to the questions there, guys. So I look forward to chatting with you if you've scheduled a strategy session with me. And again, guys, it's not that I'm not trying to be a big jerk here, but at the same time, I do have very, very limited chances and opportunities to coach individuals over this final year of doing coaching with individual loan officers as opposed to working with companies. So I really got to be picky here and make sure that I'm spending time with folks that are action takers. All right. So if that's you, if you want a shot at it, mortgagemarketingcoaching.com. I really, really look forward to chatting with you folks. I thank you for joining me today, and I hope that you have an awesome, awesome extended weekend. So I know I'm looking forward to a little bit of relaxation this coming weekend. I can use it. Actually going to be at the airport tomorrow. I have some family that was stuck in Houston for the hurricane. So finally they got planes running again from what I understand tomorrow. So finally get to welcome back some family that was stuck down there for 11 days trying to get back. So all right, folks, make it a great rest of your day. Have an awesome weekend, extended weekend, and look forward to chatting with you soon. Bye now.